Welcome back on 10 Minutes of Hiding Wisdom. So, today our guest is a thought leader and a consultant on subscription based relationship economy with vast experience in compliance, security, data management, smart computing, and cloud storage. Let's welcome Vlad on 10 Minutes of Hiding Wisdom. Hi, Vlad. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I am doing well. How's your Monday going so far?
It's typical Silicon Valley, very busy. The economy's doing great, and we're all glad that things are getting a little bit better in the way of the COVID-19 management here in California.
Definitely. The Bay Area was doing really poorly at the start of the year, but now things are getting way better. I'm actually really surprised regarding the progress that we've made over time. So, definitely can see things going back to normal eventually, hopefully.
Yeah, no, they are like we're having meetings face to face now, so that's good. Again, it's in this way we're 6 feet apart and we're wearing masks unless we're eating and stuff, and it's good to finally get out on the road and meet with clients.
That's very true. I think a lot of people miss the human aspect of interaction, especially like engaging with each other. So, I mean, I can definitely see a lot of people being excited. I'm one of those people that just loves going out and speaking and meeting people in person. But then again, I think Zoom, Zencaster, and everything like this have allowed us to still maintain communication, which is something that's good at the end of the day. So grateful for that as well.
Absolutely.
So, Vlad, can you tell us about your journey, where you're currently working, and how things have been going?
Sure. I have a long journey. I'm one of those entrepreneurs here in Silicon Valley where once you find success and you meet a group of people, what happens is a group of people kind of moves into different areas at different times and exit strategies and so forth. So for the last 20 years, I've had the opportunity to reinvent myself many times and go into different industries. Working at Recurly today, it's a new industry for fintech for me. It's adding kind of technology with financial platforms. And I originally, out of college, went into retail. I was a buyer for Macy's California, and basically, thought I was going to be this merchandiser. And as technology evolved, it piqued my interest. And there were some tough years in retail. Decided to cross over, and here I am today using that 20 years of knowledge, reinventing to keep my jobs. My brothers were not as fortunate. They decided to stay in the industry like semiconductors, and when it fell, they couldn't find jobs, and they had to retire early. And one is enjoying life, working at a garden greenery and selling plants. However, for me, I want to keep going. I want to stay young, and I'm a millennial at heart, even though I'm not a millennial. I've reinvented, and I think that's important.
That's a wonderful journey, especially because I think, especially what your brother is doing and everything, a lot of people usually define success as having a lot of money. But if you're happy at the end of the day in regarding to what you're doing, that's what matters. And if your brother is happy in selling plants and just like living a life on his own, I think that would be wonderful. And that's very inspiring, especially because you went through career transitions, but you decided to get back up and make sure that you wanted to pursue something that you're passionate about.
Yeah,
So hats off to you. Thank you for being so inspiring and just like keep going at what you believed in.
yeah.
And as in like you mentioned regarding you transitioned from retail to like technology and everything. Was the transition easy, especially because you came from a completely different background, or as in like what were some of the difficulties that you faced, especially making that transition?
And that's a great question. And the key point that I want to make, if you are going to be an entrepreneur and switch industries or switch jobs, I took the role that I wanted to learn at the entry level. And I knew if I started at the entry level and I was very successful in the previous industry, I can work up very fast into the chain. So I was a senior executive in retail at Macy's. I handled a $15 million P&L in dress shirts. So I said, hey, it's time to get into a chip company, right? And it was actually with Atik Raza at NextGen. Atik was from Pakistan, and he grew this new technology that was going to compete against Intel. So I said, hey, Atik, put me in the entry level. Let me make phone calls. Let me get appointments and stuff. And so I started doing that, and I was the first salesperson at NextGen to actually sell the NX586 processor to the first customer. and they had hired all these senior people to do that. So that's what caught the fire is the experience that you have, whether you learned it from your parents or what you learned in college. If you can adapt it to any industry, you're going to be successful. Don't be afraid to take an entry level job, because if you're great and you have the ambition and the passion, you'll move up very fast. So within 6 months, I was into the core sales position. And that's what I tend to do in all industries. I want to start at the baseline. I want to learn what it is in the weeds, and look at what's working and not working, make that analysis. I call myself a mentalist because I want to go see what other people are doing. And for the first 30 days, I'm observing and internally observing before I go out in the outside. And then I use that knowledge and then execute on trying something different and see if I can increase the velocity.
So your continuous urge towards learning definitely helped you because you were like, okay, I have to continuously learn. And especially people, I think, with the growth mindset like yours are always willing to learn from people around them and constantly adapt and iterate their personal approach to make sure that they're at the top of the game. So I can definitely see why you succeeded because you were constantly in it to learn rather than being like, okay, no, this is what I do, this is what I know. But you wanted to constantly improve yourself to make sure that you were at top of your game. So I can definitely see you learned a lot. You managed to start at an entry level and then you transitioned towards different roles, different positions, and you ended up here. So, as in, like, how has your experience been with the company so far that you're currently working with? What exactly is your role? And how exactly is the company doing, especially with the pandemic
Yeah,
now?
no. So my role is I'm a strategic account executive, and again, it's not entry level, but it's in the field, and I love to be in front of customers. So that's the job that I always want to take first before I may pursue management or corporate development or other areas around the functions of the company to get them to exit. And what does exit mean? IPO, acquisition, or to the next stage. So what I learned is, first of all, to understand the technologies that's being used. So I'm like I said, the millennials get things that are apps, mobile, and new what we call SaaS based tools. So that was new for me because I came out of a company that was a $13.4 billion company, and we had Salesforce, but that was it. There were no tools to actually automate the process. So what I've learned in a very short time frame from my colleagues that are in the entry level was this new technology, and it is great. The company is doing super great. It is growing every day by leaps and bounds, quarter over quarter, 40% increases in revenues and sales, and it has a trajectory to go into some type of exit strategy, whether it's an IPO or acquisition, and the valuations are very big right now. So fully funded and moving into that next stage. But learning those tools from folks that are coming out of college that I never used and that are helping me as a core person in strategic accounts, and we're talking Fortune 500 and Global 200, it is making my job easier. So I'm still learning, and I always want to learn, and it gets the passion going, and it gets the energy level up, because a lot of people my age don't have the energy, but it's the youth that gives me the energy, and I want to stay young. I don't want to be a dinosaur like what happened to my brothers, even though they're happy what they're doing. For me, I want to go out there and keep learning.
Well, things are looking good for you with that constant motivation of wanting to learn things and making sure that you don't feel old and just making sure that's something that people could learn a lot from because I think, especially like older generations, they have this fixed mindset where they're like, okay, we've learned enough and we constantly can't adapt. And considering you're willing to constantly adapt and learn as much as you can makes it very admirable. And I can see that you would definitely go a long way. So thank you so much, Vlad. It was definitely a pleasure having you on the show and learning from your experiences, especially because of your journey. It wasn't something that usually people go through with the transitions that you made. So thank you so much for sharing this and have a good rest of your
Thank you. It
day.
was my pleasure. Have a great week as well.